You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Now, do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now, all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.
Welcome to episode 146, Freedom, Health and Lifestyle. And this is part 2 of Something Wonderful is Happening, Unlocking Your Hidden Potential. And this is the cassette recording of Bob Proctor. Last week, if you remember, we did side A, which was a lot of fun, you know, and it's well worth a listen to. So go and check it out if you've not heard it. My name is Mick McQuillan, and of course, look, you're watching Freedom, Health and Lifestyle, personal development with a plan, right? It's a plan for better, because we all want better, right? That's what everybody wants. We all want better. Yeah, you know, you want to be grateful for what you've got, you know, and that's fine. But it doesn't mean you have to settle. You know, you can still want more, want better health, better wealth, you know, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Whatever is right for you. That's all that's important, you know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, click that notification button. You'll learn when we're on, usually around about the same time every week. And again, normally my good friend Joye, $1 million difference maker Maka Unga is normally with me. Now he might jump on. I don't know whether he will or not, but we're not going to hang around because I want to get on with this. But listen, look, you can find Joye on his Facebook page, facebook.com/Joye.Unga, or on his health and wellness business page. Great contact form there. You can just reach out to him. A good time to get in touch. And of course, you can find me on our petsellersisland.com/academy page. And we're doing some great stuff there, actually. If you want to learn how you can, get better fit customers for your business, or show pet owners you're serious about, professional pet care, maybe you want to join that. We're putting something together at the moment called the Founder 300, which is going to be an interesting thing. Maybe you want to find out more about that. And you can do that by going to thepetsellersisland.com/academy, booking a call from there. And look, I'll be the first to tell you if it's not right for you, right? But listen, look, what we're going to do is we're going to get straight into this video. Hold on a second. Yeah, let me see. What do I need to do here? Anything I need to do? I don't think there is anything I need to do. I just think we want to get into this video. Right, I think this is going to be important. So let's have a watch. And we might pause part way through just to have a quick, insight into whatever we think is going on there. Right, so let's have a listen. Don't forget to send any comments in as well. I'm curious to know what you think.
Start concentrating on what's right about it. Don't entertain thoughts that are wrong.
Kind of sounds a bit angry, doesn't he? Right.
Man becomes what he thinks about. That's the one point all the great leaders have agreed on. Solomon said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Solomon was no stooge. Emerson said, we are all we think about all day long. Buddha said, we are all we have thought. What do you think about all day long? You think about low sales, or do you think about that $1 million round table, becoming the multi-million-dollar producer? Is that the only thought you entertain? That's where you're going to go. You think about poverty, that's where you go. You think about getting sick, I'll guarantee you you'll be in a hospital. You think about a healthy body, and I'll guarantee you you'll have one. You'll become what you think about. You think about rising in your business, or do you think about stumbling your toes?
See that? That's a perimenopausal belly. Estrogen drops, cortisol rises. Going to the gym can only make it worse.
What do you think about? That's where you are. That's where...
Yeah, apologies. I should probably pay for the one without ads, right? But we'll just have to skip through them. But look, you become what you think about. That's what he's talking about. We hear that a lot, right? When's it going to sink in? When's it going to sink in so that, I'm thinking about what I want, not what I don't want. I try to, right? And what was I listening to? I was listening to Psycho-Cybernetics. Is it Max Waltz, the author? It's just an amazing book. And it's talking about these points exactly. But yeah, it's very repetitive, isn't it? You become what you think about. Every time we're listening to something, it's along the same lines. Even the book Think and Grow Rich. You're thinking things into reality. You're thinking your environment. Or your thinking shapes your environment. To be honest, it's got to be. Is there more to it than that? I don't know. Let's have a listen.
I am. We are right now nothing more than the sum total of our thoughts to this point. Well, what do these 6 different areas, or these areas of theology teach us? They all teach us exactly the same thing. I don't care what religion it is. Someone once said that anyone who believes their religion's right and all the rest is wrong have never discovered the truth in their own religion yet. They're all right. They all operate on one premise, one power, one God. Now, in Arabia, they may not call it God. They have a different word to describe it. It's called Allah, I believe, there. Might be a Muhammad in another area. Just different words. It's to represent the same thing. Now, if we ask the theologian what God is, we're not going to get a direct answer because he doesn't know. He does not know. He just tells us God is neither created nor destroyed, is the cause and effect of himself, is 100% evenly present everywhere, always. That's right here, right inside this. We have as the title there, something wonderful has happened, and we spelt the wonderful with a U. That's not a misprint. The word wonderful means full of wonder. We put the you in because you're in the middle of it. Your life is truly full of wonder. Gosh, when you discover it, your sales will skyrocket. You'll take the knowledge that your company has spent millions of dollars preparing for you and use it. And then you'll have the cheeky broadloom, the big cars, the long boats. You'll also have the peace of mind that you're looking for. All these things will come to us when we look inside and find that tremendous power that's available to us. Now, someone might say, I don't choose to look in the area of theology. Fine, let's go to the only other place we can go. We got to believe in something or we're going to fall for anything. Well, the other one's science. And if we go and ask the scientist what makes the whole thing go around, what causes it to move, why do you sit there and breathe and why I'm able to stand here, he'll tell you energy. If you ask him what energy is, you got him. He doesn't know. He'll just say energy is. Isn't that what the theologian told us God is? He says energy is. And then he'll go on to say is neither created nor destroyed, is the cause and effect of himself, is 100% evenly present everywhere always. That's right here. A DuPont scientist said that the electrons of your body or your children contain a potential energy of more than 11 million kilowatt hours per pound. You know what that's worth? About $85 billion. What are you selling it for? Yeah. It's worth thinking about. Let's go back to what Hubbard said. For 27 years, I sat in this city doing nothing. I was in here last night to look at the room with Ben Hughes. They had the Fireman's Ball going on. Had I never picked up Charlie Cullen's record or Earl Nightingale's record or all the rest of them, I would have been in this room because that's what I was doing at that time. I was sitting in a fire hall down at Cosburn and Donlands in a captain's chair with my feet up on the windowsill, watching the vacuum tube, creating a head to match, hoping to God the bell didn't ring. See, I didn't even want to do what they were paying me for. I was waiting for 65 to come. I was like most people. I was tiptoeing through life, hoping I made it to death. Scared stiff to bet out, to step out and bet on the surest thing in the world. No? The best thing you'll ever buy stock in is you. Charlie said to invest in yourself. I am amazed at the number of people that will not invest in themselves. Cleo showed me a good book. An insurance man gave me that book a long time ago. One time I was going to England. He gave it to me. I read it on the plane. I've read it for a long time since then. Kept studying it. Bet you's got a good book there. Do you know, according to a Roper survey, how many people bought a book last year? 4%. That's counting the dirty ones. Do you know there's only...
He is kind of funny, isn't he? But I think this was when he was a little bit more raw. And I suppose he's playing to his audience as well. But it is interesting, you know, buy stock in you, invest in yourself. He's talking about books, tapes, audios. I know tapes is a little bit strange to say, but, you know, books, audio books, success biographies, you know, studying people who you know, in your field, you know, studying successful people in your field. You know, what does Joye say? You know, other people's experiences. You've got to learn from other people's experiences. And why not? You know, it's going to save you decades, save you years of time, you know, to learn from other people's experiences. You know, what they do, how they do it, what works well, what doesn't work. And that's really what the Academy's about. You know, the Petzolders Island Academy. It's about helping people. So, like, I don't know, buy stock in you. We're talking about it's worth thinking about. How often do we even spend time thinking about what it is that we want, what we want to do, what we want to achieve, you know, how we can do it, planning it. And again, Joye talks about plan, do, review. You've got to make a plan, you know, have some goals, make a plan. You want to think about goals. You know, the goals are the rewards that you maybe give yourself, you know, for completing your plan, right? For achieving the, you know, the outcomes that you want for the plan. You know, so anyway, like, I find this stuff fascinating. I hope you do too, you know, whether you're watching live now or on the replay. I hope you find it fascinating. And again, share your comments because I would love to know what you think. Let's have another listen.
One way we can move ahead, and that's through study. There's no other way to do it. If you want to improve your circumstances, you must improve yourself. We find salesmen changing their cars, changing their suits, changing their companies, changing their territories, changing their wives and everything else, you know. But they won't change themselves. There's only one way to do it, through study. You can get it from books, tapes, seminars, conventions such as this. Go to your $1 million roundtable meetings. They're the people that know. If you want to earn $30,000 a year, you don't ask the guy who's earning 10. He doesn't know.
Winter clothes are piling up at home. You need the storage bag. It's huge. A whole closet of winter clothes.
You've got to go to someone that knows more. But you know where most people get their advice? The guy that's working beside them. Hell, if he knew any more, he wouldn't be beside him. You know? You'll find them in every office. In the insurance offices, in our offices, you'll also find them in every factory. They're gathered together. Misery loves company. It really does. And that's just no mere play on words. We're working on laws of attraction. We attract to us through the law of vibration. Everything is in a constant state of vibration, the thing that we concentrate on. And the man that's thinking of failing, he attracts other failures to him. And they get together and they moan and complain. They have $50 cups of coffees, last for 8 hours. They never get anywhere. That's too bad. But that's the way it is. You know, we buy myths. So no one knows where they started. No one knows who starts them. And they go something like this. Here's one for you. We get educated in school. Nothing could be further from the truth. You couldn't possibly get an education in school. You're not there long enough. Teachers do. No. You see, education is a lifelong process of unfoldment. Commencement isn't the end. Commencement means the beginning. But yet you'll hear so many at a commencement exercise, thank God that's over. I'll never open another one of those books as long as I live. They have decreed at that time, the one life they've got, they're going to go that way. Because the dynamic forces of life are create or disintegrate. And the law of the animal kingdom is adapt or die. We have to adapt to the changes that take place around us, and we must study to grow. There's no one that I've ever met, even in the big, posh executive suites, that know it all. And the higher you go, the more they realize they don't know it all. You go down far enough, and you'll never hear a person say they don't know. They know everything. You know? We don't have all the answers. We don't even have the right questions yet. Now, if we want to grow, there's only one thing to do it, and that's change some of the ideas we've got in here. Professor Jose Ortega-Gazet from the University of Madrid, he one time said that the only way we can move ahead is through study. There's no other way to do it. When Charlie and Cleo are mentioning their books, dig into them. I used to say I couldn't read. I just can't read. Boy, was I dumb. I had puddles of dumb all around me. I was really stupid. I could read. I chose, with my free will, my reasoning factor, not to read. And to think of the millions of people that go to so much trouble to learn to read Braille. We've got eyes to read with, and we don't open the book. You know, the only time we'll open a book is when we're interested in the idea that's contained between the covers. And when we're interested in the ideas that's contained between the covers of that book that Charlie's talking about, improving yourself, that's when you'll open that book. When you really want to improve you. Now, your kids follow you. They pattern themselves after you.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that. You know, he's saying, you know, like when you want to improve you, does that mean that you have to admit that something's not right? What does that mean? You know, that you don't know enough? Do you have to admit something to yourself? Is he talking about self-image? You know, what is he talking about here? Let me just go back, a few moments and listen to that again.
Don't open the book. You know, the only time we'll open a book is when we're interested in the idea that's contained between the covers. And when we're interested in the ideas that's contained between the covers of that book that Charlie's talking about, improving yourself, that's when you'll open that book. When you really want to improve you.
Yeah, so when you want to improve you, yes, when I think about what Jim Rome said, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Like, constant improvement, constant development. Like, like I was tricked into this shit. I was. Like when I was 20 years old, some guy says, ask me, do I read? Yeah, and I made a joke saying, I got through school without reading a book, but yeah, I can read. And then he gives me the magic of thinking big, says read chapter 2 and then chapter 3. Chapter 2 is all about a disease called excusitis, and I thought, you tricked me into reading this book now because, if you ask me if I read it, I can't lie and say I have. So I had to read the bloody book. And that book set me on a personal journey of self-discovery, started me on this bloody path. And now, the more you know, as Bob is saying, the more you realize that you don't know. And God, it is a bloody challenge, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like that's where that expression, makes so much sense. Ignorance is bliss. It absolutely is. Because once you become consciously aware, of your own thoughts and how your thoughts and habits, and you're not being as good as you could be. You can perform better. You can do better, and it's hard. It's hard, and you end up and then you beat yourself up. But I think that's what's good about today for me, because I get the opportunity, to learn more about myself and to actually just try and be better. Listening to these, being here with you guys, just listening to this stuff, helps me to grow. Study to grow. This is what we're doing. We're studying, right? We're trying to learn about ourselves and how we can be better, how we can, improve ourselves. What is it? What was that expression? You grow into you grow into that person, that achieves success. What is it? Can't remember exactly. You might have noticed about a haircut. It's all gone. Got it all off, because it was way too long. I loved it, but it was just too much, and I want to see how quickly it'll grow back, because I'm using a product called More Mitome, and it's just a great product for skin and hair, Joye, bones and stuff like that. It's just a great product. But anyway, that's a different thing. Mind you, in saying that, you can learn more about that in the academy, because one of those bolt-on products and services, we give it to our pets and stuff like that. It makes a massive difference. But again, study to grow, and you grow into success, right? Success, you have to grow into that. What does Joey say? It doesn't happen overnight, it happens over time, right? So it's constant, bloody constant. All you've got is today, right? Yesterday's gone, can't change it. Can't do tomorrow's work today. We've only got today. So we've got to learn something today. Open that book. Open that book when you really want to improve you. Right? It's non-stop. Non-stop.
Now your kids follow you. They pattern themselves after you. They watch everything you do. They pick up every feeling. And they want to just be exactly like you. What type of person are you? I think it was Charlie that mentioned, make that sheet. Take your inventory. Find out what kind of a person you are. I'll tell you one thing. You're a whole lot better than you think you are. Everybody is. No one knows the potential of man. No one. Great old man, Dr. J.B. Ryan, in charge of the parapsychology department at Duke University, he said that the greatest power in the entire creation exists within the mind of man. Theology have taught us this for 8,000 years. We're just beginning to get the message. The mind is not that gray matter that's lodged between our ears. Mind is a word that's been given to name an activity. It is not a thing. No one knows what the mind is. We don't know what electricity is. We know some of the laws by which it operates. If we work with the laws, we can take that power and use it for many marvelous things. We don't know what the mind is, but we know some of the laws by which it operates. If we'll take it and use it, we can have it for many great things. Some of you might wonder what the name of our company means. It looks rather odd, they tell me. X-O-C-E-S. It's got a lot of meaning behind it. It might be a good philosophy for you to pick up and run with. The X represents the unknown factor that theology and science are at a loss to explain, but boy, it's there. If you don't believe it, you're in bad shape. That's the algebraic equation for the unknown, the X. The O, you can't find a beginning or an end to an O. Likewise with the power that's within you. There's no beginning or no end to it. I don't care what your IQ test said, and I don't care what your aptitude test says. They're intellectual exercises. We're talking about a spiritual or an emotional thing, and you can't measure that because it's infinite in capacity. And when you light that spark on fire, boy, look out. That person's going to move. Within every individual is a spark of idealism that can be fanned into flame, which will bring extraordinary results. That's every individual. Brandeis said that, and I believe it. Well, the O represents infinity, the power. Descartes, around 1649, was searching for a meaning to his existence. He said, cogito ergo sum. I think. Me. I'm the only form of animal life that can think. Therefore, I am. One with that power, the real I am. Go in your Old Testament and find out what the I am. You ask somebody, who are you? You'll say, I am Bob. Put the I am first. The real I am. I am one with that real power, which is infinite. So I don't care what anyone's told anyone. I had a lot of people tell me I was dumb and that I was a failure and that I'd never make it. Now, were they right? Yeah, they were right. Were they wrong? Yes, they were wrong. To that point, with the facts that they could gather, and all they could gather from is what I had done, that was correct. But then a man sat down with me and he told me the truth about me. He got my attention. He had me listen to him. And he pointed out this great truth. He said, Bob, you're getting one trip. Make it big. Enjoy it. Money. Talk about Napoleon Hill here, what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. He said when money starts coming, it'll come so fast and furious, it will make your head spin. And it really does. You see, money, like happiness and good health, is an effect. We're charged with producing causes. You get emotionally in love, or emotionally involved, fall in love with the idea of helping that person. In your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, I'll guarantee you'll have no problem selling your policies any longer. You've got to get emotionally involved with it, though. This isn't just some jazz that a training instructor thought up. This is a fact. We communicate on 3 planes of understanding. Physically, that's why we'll get dressed up, put our tie on, shine our shoes, press our suit. We are communicating on the physical plane of understanding. We're affecting one of man's sensory factors. We communicate mentally or intellectually. What we say must make sense. We also communicate emotionally through our thoughts, our feelings. You pick up the feelings. Let me explain how a mother gets an idea across to her baby and she doesn't tell the baby. You see, we're all born with some ideas that are generically structured within us. You don't have to tell the child anything to begin. The child will start sucking immediately. That's an idea that's built in here. And the little instrument, it just goes to work on that idea. But the child doesn't know how to eat pablum off a spoon instantaneously, you see. This doesn't know that. It must be deliberately taught that. How does the mother communicate or sell that idea to the baby? She gets the baby in her arms and she gets the spoon of pablum.
Never, and I mean never ask, how are you?
Oh, how are you? How's work going?
She's opening her mouth, and pretty soon the little baby's opening its mouth. And I'll tell you something else. If she's got a composite form with Daddy, if she's originating for the whole room, Daddy's sitting there like an old sucker fish in his mouth. When you want to sell your idea, when you want to cause someone else to pick one of those up and move it across a predetermined dotted line, you must create the composite. You have to be the originator, and they're going to execute the idea. Now, in every sales situation where one person gets together with another person, one individual will originate an idea, and the other person will execute the idea. The real pro, he is the originator. He's not competing with people. He's doing a little better than he did yesterday. See, he's a pro. He knows how to create that composite. He originates. The other individual executes. Now, sometimes when he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't do this. The prospect originates, and the salesman executes. No, I don't want what you've got. And they say, okay, and away they go out the door. And they go and practice their mistakes for the next 50 years. That's like most of us play golf. We get out there, it's going to go right in the bushes, and sure as hell, away it goes, you know. Well, how many salesmen sit down every day, and when they start to ask the prospect to move one of these across a predetermined dotted line, they're saying it's going to go right in the bushes, and there it goes. They don't do it. They don't originate properly. They never get the composite built. They don't understand their personality. They don't understand what makes them tick. Now, they can understand the insurance business inside out. You know.
What is he talking about? Is he talking about I'm trying to just analyze what he's saying. I know he's talking about the insurance industry, right? And he's talking about sales. And you can try and apply this to whatever it is that you do. I'm thinking about, is he talking about an idea? Is he talking about a value system? What's he talking about? I understand that he's talking about, right, okay, fall in love with what you do, fall in love with the outcome of making a difference for somebody else, being passionate about your idea and why it's going to work, why it's going to help someone, why it's going to serve someone. And that's what he was talking about in the last one, walking that road of agreement, to grow is to change. Joey said it as well, patiently work on yourself. Of course, that's not, but again, it's just notes from last week. So, that walk a road of agreement, that you're there to help, you're there to serve, give people an experience, help them feel better about something that makes them feel bad. Maybe they're worried about something, and, and by having your product or your service is going to make a real difference in their life. And again, people don't buy what they need. They buy what makes them feel good or feel secure, or feel confident or feel reassured. So, what is he talking about? But like, if you don't love what you do, if you don't fall in love with that process of talking to people and he's talking about study, education, like, even if you wherever you work, right? Like where I work, my company, like I love what I do because we make a real difference. The people that work in my organization, I'm always talking to them about the difference that they make and how important it is, that when they turn up, it can sometimes be the most important thing that needs to happen for that person on that day. It's such a big deal. It's not a small thing. So, falling in love with what you do, falling in love with, the difference that you make for people, it gives you a confidence that you're making a real difference, that you bring more value than someone who maybe has the same or similar product or service, because you're enthusiastic, you're passionate about it. And people, people maybe are going to jump on board with you because of that, because of your enthusiasm, because of your passion, because of how you reassure them or whatever. Is this what he's talking about? Is that what he's talking about? Let's just go back just a little bit. He's talking about when they execute, create the composite, you have to be the originator. So what, did he say, what was the composite? Creating the composite. Get the baby in arms, blah, 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 spoon. That was something that I said to my wife the other day, my wife Kate. I was saying, like, I know this is off the track, right? This is not what we're talking about. But I was saying that when a mum or a dad is with, got their little baby, the baby can't talk, and they're saying, say dada, or say mama, or whatever it is. And the baby then says, mama. Why doesn't it say mama? Why does the baby not say mama? It just says mama. Like his kids already know, right? How is that? How is that even possible? But I don't know. That's something that's out there, right? So, baby in her arms, and she gets the spoon. She's talking about opening the mouth. So, generating that idea, creating the idea for someone, creating a vision in somebody else's mind, building pictures in somebody else's mind, Yeah. When I think back to the remastered You Were Born Rich webinar, where he's talking about creating brain cells, pictures in people's minds. It's fascinating stuff. Right, okay, let's have another listen to this, right? And I'll just try and concentrate a bit more.
She's opening her mouth, and pretty soon the little baby's opening its mouth. And I'll tell you something else. If she's got a composite form with Daddy, if she's originating for the whole room, Daddy's sitting there like an old sucker fish in his mouth. When you want to sell your idea, when you want to cause someone else to pick one of those up and move it across a predetermined dotted line, you must create the composite. You have to be the originator, and they're going to execute the idea. Now, in every sales situation where one person gets together with another person, one individual will originate an idea and the other person will execute the idea. The real pro, he is the originator. He's not competing with people. He's doing a little better than he did yesterday. See, he's a pro. He knows how to create that composite. He originates. The other individual executes. Now, sometimes when he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't do this. The prospect originates and the salesman executes. No, I don't want what you got. And they say, okay, and away they go out the door. And they go and practice their mistakes for the next 50 years. That's like most of us play golf. We get out there, it's going to go right in the bushes, and sure as hell, away it goes, you know. Well, how many salesmen sit down every day, and when they start to ask the prospect to move one of these across a predetermined dotted line, they're saying it's going to go right in the bushes, and there it goes. They don't do it. They don't originate properly. They never get the composite built. They don't understand their personality. They don't understand what makes them tick. Now, they can understand the insurance business inside out. You know you've got walking encyclopedias. Right here in this room, you've got them that are selling $500,000 worth a year. And they can tell you more about financial planning and about your rate book and about your policies and about your training program than you'd even want to guess. Boy, they can just bellow it out. And you'll get another man, he'll come in, and he doesn't know too many of those things, but he understands the human personality. And he must have those other things. They're all necessary. You can't go without them. You've got to have them. I'm not knocking them, because they're necessary. But he understands the composite personality. He understands how to create and get the other person acting on his ideas. And he's up, up, up. How can one man sell $100 million worth of insurance? They're doing it. If one man can do it, everyone can do it. We just have to figure out how. But when you suggest you're going to do something a little different from most people, you'll find a lot of people tell you that you can't. All great advances have been made by individuals that had the courage to stand up and saying, maybe you can't, but I can. It may have never been done before, but that doesn't mean it's not impossible. Nothing is impossible with this power that we talk about. You know, Paul was a pretty astute chap, pretty sharp lawyer, studied under Gamaliel, who was also one of the greatest lawyers of his day. For about 40 years he studied under him. Paul said something. He said, one man with that power is a majority.
See this scratch? Auto shops will easily charge you $2,000.
Marconi suggested he was going to do something that's never been done before. He's going to send a message one place or the other without a use of wires. They locked him up, said he was crazy. The masses. Bob Fulton, he had a picture in here of a steamboat going. Remember, you got to be successful in here before you'll ever be successful in the marketplace. This is where it happens first. Goethe said that. Before you can do something, you got to be something. Well, Fulton had the picture going in here. Great Peter was asked one time how he did.
That is, you know, that's a very interesting phrase. Before you can do something, you've got to be something. You know, that's very interesting. You know, before you can do something, you've got to be something. Like, it's worth pondering on that alone. You know, like it's before you can be what before. Hold on, we're going to go back.
And before he's going to send a message one place or the other without a use of wires. They locked him up, said he was crazy. The masses. Bob Fulton, he had a picture in here of a steamboat going. Remember, you got to be successful in here before you'll ever be successful in the marketplace. This is where it happens first. Goethe said that. Before you can do something, you got to be something. Well, Fulton had the picture going in here. Great Peter was asked one time how he did such beautiful work. He said, I dream my painting, and then I paint my dream. I dream my painting, and then I paint my dream. Well, Fulton had dreamed his painting. He had his little steamboat going in here long before he ever put it in the water. And as the story goes, he took it over to put it in the Hudson, and they all laughed at him. They said, you'll never get it going. But it started to move. Now, all the educated, all the intellects, all the wise ones that have to prove it, has to be logical before they'll move on. They saw this boat going. They all told him that it wouldn't go. They did the most natural thing for any large group of human beings to do. When one person says something, they said he wasn't right. You'll never get it. Stop. Some young agent that's in the business in this room less than 2 years. He's got the knowledge. He's going to go back. He may be producing at 3, 4, 5, 600,000 a year. He's going to go back in his office from this Congress, and he's going to say, fellas, next year, that's within the next 12 months, I'm going to be a multi-million-dollar producer. And they're going to say, you'll never get it going. And when he gets it going, they'll say, you're a flash in the pan. It won't last. But as long as he works with the law, understands his personality, and will train himself, will invest his time, his money, his energy to find out who he is, how he ticks, he'll always last. He'll last long after the rest are all gone. He understands he's got one trick, and he makes a decision to make the change now. You make it right this instant that you're going to belong to that $1 million round table. You start mixing with those people. They're the only ones that know the right ideas. The rest knew they'd be there. They want to be there. Let's just briefly look at this circle here. Great old man, I believe it was Dr. Fleet, thought of this concept Another man in Western Canada gave it to me, and then Harry Roeder gave me a lot of it. Another man over near London. He calls it a stick man. That's the best physical presentation. It's the simplest way to understand your personality that I've ever found. And people that understand it, their production will just skyrocket and gain an understanding of how they work. You know, Dr. Ken McFarland, who was referred to earlier, who I consider one of the nation's greatest speakers, great educators, he said 2% of the people think, 3% of the people think they think, 95% would rather die than think. Henry Ford says thinking is the hardest work there is, which is the probable reason so few people engage in it. Now, my old buddy from Edmonton, he said if most people said what they're thinking, they'd be speechless. We have a part of our personality that we think with. That's the only thing that separates us from the dogs, the cats, or the canaries, any other form of animal life. We can think. We've got an intellectual factor called an imagination. We can get a picture in here, and if we hold that picture, it must be expressed in our life. Now, I know this for a fact. I've proved it to me. Many of you have proved it to you. Completely changed your life in the face of great circumstances. People that blame conditions, circumstance, and environment where they are never going to win. They're always going to lose. When they accept the responsibility for their station, their position in life, and they realize that it's been caused by the way they think, their physical health, their mental health, and their ability to earn money, then they're going to start moving. We have another part of our personality here that executes. We refer to this as the doer. All ideas that are impressed must be expressed through this physical instrument we call our body. This is an instrument to carry out actions. If you think this thing is anything unto itself, you want to wander down the local funeral home and you take a look at one of those instruments stretched out there. Something's missing. Doesn't look too much different than the instruments sitting around or standing up here, but there is something different. We've got this. This is the machine. We might want to call it the mind. You can call it whatever you want. That's your prerogative. But I'll tell you one thing. It operates by law. This is where the feelings come from, in the emotional part of man. It's our thoughts that we express. The feelings that we express and the actions that we express, they are the only ones that can return to visit upon us. Science taught us this way. Some people say it doesn't apply to this. You go out and try it and you'll find out it does. For every action, there's an equal reaction in the opposite direction. If you would care to take a look at the other side, the theological side, and you go into the last book of Galatians, you're going to find in there in the 7th verse, a little verse that says, "Be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." That's your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. I would suggest from this second on, you form the habit of entertaining constructive, creative, successful ideas.
That's a lot to take in, isn't it? You know, the habit of entertaining construction, creative, successful ideas. That's all you do. Can you ever get a break? But maybe the more you do it, the more it becomes more natural. You know, these are new habits, right? That's what he's talking about. You know, you've got to develop your self-image. That's what he's talking about, your thinking. Let's just go back there, you know, because that was interesting. You know, yeah, 7th verse. I might just slow that down a little bit so we can hear it a bit easier. All right.
A little verse that says, "Be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." That's your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions.
Yeah. So your thoughts, your feelings, your actions. So what was the line before? So whatever a man soweth, you reap what you sow, right? So your thoughts, your feelings, your actions. So if you're angry, you're going to get more anger. That's what he's talking about, right? If you're pissed off with your job, you're only going to get more pissed off with it, right? That's what he's talking about. You know, that's why the difference is that you've got to fall in love with it. Like, even if you know, like if you go in with hate, you're going to get more hate. If you go in with love, you know, you're going to maybe enjoy it more, right? I talk about this with people, you know, like, you know, in our organization. I say, look, you know, like, I want to work with people that want to work with me. Like, you know, I don't want to work with people that you know, if I saw your number coming up on my phone, I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't want to speak to this person. That's not what I want. You know, or if, you know, you saw my number coming up on your phone, you think, oh my God, not Mick again. Joye, God, I hate Mick. Joye, I don't want that. You know, I want to work with people that I like. you know, so that, you know, we can get on, you know, have a similar vision, you know, as to where we're moving towards, the difference that we're making for the people that we're serving and working with. So whatever a man soweth, that shall he also repeat. Yeah. Thoughts, feelings, actions. Like, if you love what you do and you enjoy what you do, isn't it only going to get better? Aren't you going to just, you know, develop more? You know, that's what he was talking about. You know, before you can do something, you have to be something. Before you can do something, yeah, you have to be something. Is that right? Before you can do something, you have to be something. You have to be better, right? Is that what it is? This is bloody complicated. Right. What's he talking about? Whatever man, so you reap what you sow. So he's talking about thoughts, feelings, actions. You know, if you've got bad habits, you know, you're only going to get bad outcomes. Thoughts, feelings, actions. Bad thoughts, bad habit thoughts, bad habit feelings, bad habit actions. You know, you're going to get more of the same. You know, so you know, change, more change.
Your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. I would suggest from this second on, you form the habit of entertaining constructive, creative, successful ideas.
Not much to ask then, you know, from this moment on, you know, form the habit of entertaining only constructive, creative, successful ideas, you know. Easier said than done, right? Like it is easier, you know, easier said than done. But again, you know, I think you have to, you know, don't try, but I think that's a good thing to do. I think it's worth doing. I think it's worth journaling, you know, some of this stuff. You know, having a journal that you write down every day. You know, start, you know, even if it's first thing in the morning, writing down your goals, what it is that you want to achieve, what, you know, your ideas, you know, how you want your life to be, you know, all of that kind of stuff. I think it's worth writing it down. You know, what you're working on and the difference that you're making, you know, your outcomes, your goals. And then even at the end of the day, kind of looking back on it and reflecting and saying, well, did I do everything that I could have done? The answer is always going to be no. You can always do more. So, not easy, but, well, it's not, you know, it's, I suppose, look, it's not hard, but it's not easy either, right? Is it? You got to want it. It's about making a decision. You know, we talk about this all the time. It's about making a decision. You know, and these are simple ideas. These are very simple ideas, but they're not easy. They're not easy, right? You've got to want to change. You've got to want to do something.
Never, and I mean never, ask, how was your weekend?
Mm-hmm.
No.
You will have to associate with people that do that. You'll have to seek out people that know it. And you'll have to invest your time, your money, and a whole lot of courage to go out and act on it. You know, mentioning the word courage, someone said we should have the courage of our convictions. I read something the other day that's rich with truth. It said we should have the courage to challenge some of our convictions because some of them just ain't so. Every one of us has tremendous potential. We can do anything we can visualize in our mind. All we have to do is figure out how. The best way to do anything has never been thought of yet. All we need is a little education, understanding, unfoldment. Who are we? How do we work? And then we're capable of going out and making it happen. We can all do it. We teach one point very strongly in our seminars, and we have a lot of insurance people that come to them. No one can earn the money an insurance man can earn. No one. Ralph Waldo Emerson said at one time, he said, there comes a time in every man's educar or unfoldment when he'll realize that envy is ignorance and imitation is suicide. Imitation, you cannot copy them. You cannot be like any other individual. You are unique. imitation is suicide. Emulate them, all right, but you can't copy them. You cannot be like anyone else. And we tie this together, we tie all the information from our seminars together into a little poem that I think is the essence of all knowledge that man has ever really accumulated. And it goes something like this. It says, every single blade of grass and every flake of snow is just a wee bit different. There's no two alike, you know. From something small, like grains of sand, to each gigantic star, each one was made with this in mind, to be just what they are. How foolish then to imitate, and how useless to pretend, when each one of us come from a mind whose ideas never end. There'll only be just one of me to show what I can do, and likewise you should feel very proud that there's only one of you, because that's where it all starts, with you, a wonderful, unlimited human being. You get that spark burning, and you're really going to fly. You'll get the material income, and you'll get the psychic income. All real salesmen need that psychic income every day. Patton pointed out in his great movie, all glory is fleeting. The marvelous feeling we get from a sale doesn't last long. A real great salesman has to get it every day to keep going. It's like food, and he needs it. You study that little poem and some of these ideas, and you'll get it. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Ben, for having me.
It's like food, right? Who was it who said that? Was it Zig Ziglar? You know, he was talking about money. Someone was saying money's not important, and he was like, "Well, try go shop, you know, food, you know, or money's like oxygen." Someone like, I can't remember who said it now, but look, you know, I really enjoyed that side A and side B. And if you just go to YouTube, put in Bob Proctor side A or side B, or something wonderful is happening. Search it. You can listen to them again, or just, you know, listen to them on the channel. But if you just wanted to listen for them for yourselves and study them, you know, I would recommend it. But yeah, he started this with, man becomes what he thinks about. You become what you think about. Believe in something or fall for anything. And I think that's about believing in you, believing in your potential, believing in your ideas, having the courage, you know, to want more, you know. And how do you get more? By helping other people, by serving other people, you know. So you've got to fall in love with whatever it is that you do, you know. Fall in love with service, with making somebody else's life better, by bringing more value. Right? Create these ideas, you know, have the conviction to share them, and, you know, allow someone else to, you know, to execute that idea. Yes, I want that. Yes, I need that. You know, so look, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it, and that before you can do something, you have to be something. So, you know, that kind of falls back into that education, self-education, you know, that constant learning, you know, that growing, you know. To grow is to change. So you got to grow. You got to learn about yourself. You got to learn about how you operate. You know, how your mind's thinking, how your mind's working, how your mind's ticking, whatever it is. I don't know. Well, maybe I do. But I can only do it for me. You know, I can't do it for you. I can only do it for me. You have to do it for yourself. But look, amazing. I've really enjoyed that. And look, I'm looking forward to catching up with Joey, because I know Joey will be on the replay. I know he was out today. He was with an old school friend, which is really nice, right? You know, because you've got to catch up with, you know, older friends, and, you know, it's a fun thing to do. Fun thing to do. But listen, look, regardless of wherever you are in the world or whatever it is you're doing, I hope you're having a wonderful day, wonderful time. And, you know, look, you've got that potential inside of you. You really have. You've got everything that you need, you know, and what you need to do is go out and become more, right? And you do that through education, through learning about yourself, through learning about your business, through learning about, you know, people's needs, you know, and fulfilling those needs. Maybe, right? But listen, look, incredible. Thank you so much. You have been watching episode 146. Something wonderful is happening. Unlocking your hidden potential. I'm telling you, you can do it. You can do it. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share, click the notification button. You'll learn when we run, usually around about the same time every week, like I say. And of course, go and check out links are in the description where you can get in touch with me and where you can get in touch with Joey. I'd love to hear, you know, your comments or what it is that you're interested in doing, or the difference that you're trying to make for other people. I'd love to know what it is, what that difference is that you're trying to make for other people, you know, and why it works. You know, because I can learn from your experiences for sure, and I love learning about, you know, what works well. Joey says, you know, other people's experiences. It's what you want, and of course, Joey also says intentionally act on the things that you want. You know, but of course, you can't do that through ignorance. You know, because for a lot of the times we keep taking the same action over and over and over again, keep getting the same result. You know, and then we wonder why nothing's changing. It's because you're not changing, because you're not growing. You know, so to grow is to change. I'm telling you, simple but not easy. You got to work on you. You know, that's what you got to do. You got to work on you. Work on you. Learn. You know, maybe we should come up with some concept where you got L and then earn. Learn. Right? Fall in love with that. Right. Amazing. Great. Thank you so much. I'm super excited about this week. Right. We're going to play out with my favorite video, because everything's in this video. Everything. Right. See you next week.
You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Now, do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now, all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.